Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Family by Design. So Liz and I, on this episode, we talk about the importance of teaching your kids history. Man, this is an important subject. You need to get a hold of this, and really it is your responsibility as the parent to make sure and pass this on to your children. Now, if you're listening to this and you don't have any kids, then just take it upon yourself to learn history. And we're talking about American history, world history, and really more important than anything is biblical history. Learn it so you can pass off to the future generations what really is true. You have a mandate on you to do this. So be blessed and encouraged and strengthened. And I believe you're going to grow through this as you listen.
Told me something last night and you really wanted me to believe it because you say that I am.
You almost did believe it.
I don't know.
You did on some level. You believed it because you picked up the phone and you called my dad.
Yeah, you said call my dad and see if he's right. You said that when you were younger you would go to Aunt Minnie's farm, and let me just say we have
that
been
part was true
together for a long time, and I have never, not one time, heard of Aunt Minnie. Never. I haven't heard of any Aunt Minnie.
She's been dead. She was my great aunt. She's been dead a long time.
Anyways, then you said that you hunt coyote and that you ate coyote meat, and I could call your dad and he would tell me it was so. And it was not so.
But I got you to believe it enough that you called my dad to ask.
Because I don't.
It's too bad he didn't play along.
So that was our fun thing that happened last night.
I don't know what this has to do with the
It has
podcast.
nothing to do with the podcast. I just thought that was funny. Welcome to my life. This is what I have to live with.
Lies.
Yes, I think I said, you sit on a throne of lies, which is off of the movie Elf or whatever.
Yes.
It was, I don't know. It's a family joke.
So, by the way, we have a live audience for this podcast.
We do.
Yeah. So if we're funny, they might laugh. If we're terrible, they might boo. So yeah.
Whatever. We're not super funny, but anyways, I just thought that was a great story. This is who we are. You like to see if I will believe things that are not truthful. So I need to go back.
You have a history of believing things that I say that are actually not
So
true.
I have to go back to some factual things. I have to go back to somebody who can recount the history to me to let me know if it's true, which is something that we're going to talk about today about history. Why is history so important?
I like how you moved right into that. That was very
You like
good.
that? That was pretty smooth. I'm getting better.
But to your question.
Why is history so important?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah.
No, not just why is it so important, but why is it important that we tell history to our children?
Yeah, so on a national level, you could say political level, whatever, there's been a coup to remove history and or to change history.
Yeah. And
even to the point of pulling down statues and things like that. And we saw this in the last several years with like riots and things where people were going. They didn't even know why they were doing it. You know, BLM came in and they were trying to tear down or deface an Abraham Lincoln statue. It's if there's one statue they should have left up, it would have been Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
He was the guy that was more on their side. Well, not on BLM's side, but on, I like these.
It doesn't even make sense.
I like these podcasts because I feel like we can kind of speak a little bit more plainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyways, he would not have been on BLM's side, but he was definitely in favor of abolishing slavery
yes,
and
people
equal
having rights.
Yeah, absolutely. And so anyway, so it's the point is that it's nonsense and there's a political agenda behind it. It's really a demonic agenda that's behind it. And so if you look in the playbook of a lot of these communistic Marxist type of movements that have happened, in times past, one of the things that they will do is they will either change or erase history. And literally even, because if you get people to not understand history, be it good or bad, history is still history. We need to learn from the good and from the bad.
That's right.
If you can get people to be angry about it and then go and try to deface it and turn it into being something that it's not, then eventually people will lose the good and the bad lessons that we're supposed to learn from it. And so now you have people talking about George Washington and Thomas Jefferson like they were a bunch of just racist white guys who hated black people. And that is like, oh my gosh, you don't even know the truth. Now there were racist, Andrew Jackson, I think he was the 7th president of the United States. I think he was number 7. And he's the one that started the Democratic Party. And he was, and this is this is history that is not being taught and that is being lost. I'm talking about U.S. history specifically at the moment. But he was absolutely a racist bigot. You can go and look at history, things that he said, things that he did. He was pro-slavery. He started the Democratic Party. He was one of the founders of it, which is the party of slavery. And if you ask people today, I watched a video where they were going around asking people between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, which one is the party that's for slavery? And a bunch of people said, "Oh, the Republican Party." And the truth is that Abraham Lincoln was he was ran on the Republican ticket.
Right.
And of course, he was the forerunner for an anti-slavery president, if maybe we could say it that way. And so people just don't even know their history. And I'm not trying to get off in that particular vein of history, but that's something that's very recent for us, to where people they don't even know those kind of things. And so we have a responsibility. This is Family by Design, and so we talk about doing things very intentionally with family.
That's right.
And we have to teach our kids history.
We don't have to, but we should.
We
Just
should.
like you said, it is our responsibility as the parents of our children to teach them the truth and to teach them
Even
history.
if they're in public school.
That's right.
Especially if they're in public school, you need to make sure that what they're getting is accurate.
That's right. I mean, because we should not leave it to somebody else to tell our children what was true and what was not, and what's factual and what really happened. We have to know these things for ourselves. We have to educate ourselves and then do our due diligence to continue to pass that on to the next generation. Because the thing is that if you don't continue to pass it on to the next generation, then it gets lost and they don't even know what happened. They don't know any history. They don't know what the things that they should know so that they can protect not only themselves, but the future generations from evil or from particular people taking away their rights, and then they don't even know that their rights are being stripped away. One thing I tell our children, not just my children, but our children, why they need to learn at least to read cursive writing is because all of our founding documents, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all these things are written in cursive writing. And if you stop teaching children what cursive is and they stop knowing how to even read it, then they don't know their rights.
Yeah.
And that's a scary place.
It's been reprinted in plain.
Well, but I know. But what if they got rid of
block lettering,
all
but
that?
To your point, yeah, and to your point, I'm always looking. I'm a very suspicious person when it comes to education and media and stuff because I see the lies. And there is a coup to get kids to stop being able, like cursive, I don't even think is being taught in schools anymore. Which on a practical level, I'm fine with that because my cursive is so terrible that
I
whatever.
love cursive writing.
But from an education standpoint, it's for the purpose of what you just said.
Right.
Is because people at some point will not even be able to go back and understand what was written in those founding documents, which is incredibly important as part of our history. So in general, and we could go through a whole list of where this is, people have to understand that there's evil. Even if you don't want to look into Democrat, Republican or whatever, you have to understand there's evil people in the world. Mm-hmm. It's the only reason why we have war. Somebody's being evil and is doing something wrong, and so then war breaks out, right? So everybody has to understand that on a basic level. There's evil in the world, and it's looking to whatever rule, to have power, to take people's land, all these things. Right. That's another thing. I was just in Israel, and there's a war happening right there, right now, right there, because the Palestinians are claiming that is their land. It's part of the battle. Ultimately, they hate the Jewish people, and they don't even know why. But it's the root of it is just an evil. It's the same evil that was in Adolf Hitler, that was in Pharaoh, that was in these different people that want to enslave and come against the Jewish people. But also part of it is a land thing. And the reason, and you have Americans that they don't know anything. Some of them don't. So many of them know nothing. And I can be hard on Americans because I is one. All right. So they're right. I'm an American, but so many of them don't know anything. And Israel, even outside of course, we lean on the Word of God, the Bible, for everything, but even outside of biblical fact, biblically what we know to be true. If you just look at the history of Israel, for example, that area where they've been at that we know to be Israel, that has been their land for thousands of years. Right. You don't even have to have the Bible to prove that. Of course, the Bible proves it very well. But that land has been theirs for thousands of years. And now you have people in our streets in America marching and saying that Israel's just occupying. The land belongs to the Palestinians. No, it doesn't. You don't go and dig up your ancestors' remains from a land that didn't belong to you.
Right.
Israel they've got all of this archaeological. I was just there. And I was there, with them digging up things that are thousands of years old that they've dug up in the last 10 and 20 years.
Right.
It's pretty incredible to see it. And it all goes back to the Jewish people. That land was there. So what's my point with this?
I don't know. What is your point?
People don't know history. They don't know it. And therefore, if you don't know it, then you don't know the truth. We need to teach our kids history, world history, what's really true. And you can't get that from TikTok.
You can't? You're telling me I can't learn everything I need to know from
just
the internet?
Just an FYI, one of the best places for people listening, one of the best places they can go to get factual, especially American history, is from Wall Builders, which is David Barton's organization. Also, Bill Federer's organization. What is that? What is his organization called? You can look up Bill Federer. The name of his organization is slipping my mind. But those two guys have incredible amount of American and American Christian history that they will teach, and they teach the truth about the Native Americans, the Indians, whatever. You're part Indian, so you're a card-carrying Cherokee. Actually, we have another card-carrying Cherokee in our studio. Give it up for Mr. Wells. He's in here, card-carrying Cherokee. And so anyways, and so Kingston actually, card-carrying.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to call you guys Indians. Are you offended by that?
No.
Great. Okay. And so if you go back to these David Barton.
We're native.
Bill Federer. Yeah, but you're Indians.
Okay.
And so these guys will give you a lot of truth concerning those things. So you have to know, where you're going for truth, but you have to find it and you have to pass it on. It's just incredibly important that people understand these things. And then, of course, we need to teach. The Bible is not. It is a spiritual book, and it's written from God as a spirit. The Bible is written. He's the one that spoke it. It was penned down by men, so it's more than just a book. It's a spiritual book. It's his love letter to us. It's his map for our life. All these things we could say that are true about the Bible, but also it is a history book.
Yes.
And it has. And you know what's so amazing is I've watched two different shows recently that talk about Noah's Ark. Like in the last several years, they have. Have you guys seen this? They have discovered. I like having an audience in here, by the way. It's a little more lively. They have discovered beyond foolproof measure where Noah's Ark is, and they have technology where they can almost like X-ray machines. Like they can look down on the earth, sonar type things. Yeah, and they can look down and they can see where there's not galleys, but chambers and things like that where they would have stored the animals. Awesome. One of the things I think was amazing is that ancient ships would have they had like giant millstones that would have hung from them to keep it balanced, and they have where these millstones, they probably would have cut these millstones. They have a trail of these millstones following a certain path. And then now they landed on, I forget the name of the actual mountain, but it's in the mountains of Ararat.
That's cool.
There lies Noah's Ark after all these years. And the Bible is the oldest book. And it has a record of Noah and the flood. Mm-hmm. And so we have all of this proof that goes back and just proves the Bible. Every time people think, the Bible can't be true, you have some naysayer that says, it can't be true because of X, Y, Z. Then it seems like right after that, you'll have archaeology or somebody will they'll uncover something that says, oh, actually the Bible is true.
Right.
The Bible is our greatest history book.
Yes.
There's things in it still we don't understand. Like I had somebody ask me yesterday, were there dinosaurs on the ark? I say, no, I don't think there were. But then there's things in the Bible that, because it said every animal of the earth, every creature of the earth, I think. So then maybe dinosaurs were part of a pre-Adam civilization, depending on what, people believe, So a lot of my point is there's things that we don't know, but there are things that we do know.
Right.
And what we do know needs to be passed down.
That's right. Because if we don't pass history down, then it'll repeat itself.
Oh, yeah.
And most of the time we don't want history to repeat itself.
We have little blessings that are standing up screaming that they want socialism. It's like, really? Are you kidding me? They obviously they don't even have a clue what socialism represents, what it does, because more people have been killed in the name of socialism than probably anything else. Because you have Adolf Hitler he was a psychopath, but he was what was the party? Something socialist party. He was a socialist, is my point. I don't remember some of these guys' names, but a bunch of them. Mao Zedong, was he the Mongolian guy? No, he wasn't the Mongolian guy. He was somebody else. He was some other guy. There's a bunch of these. You go and look that they were socialists, and they ended up starving people. People died. Wars were fought, and crazy things like what Adolf Hitler did, all in the name of socialism. And then you have people saying, "We want socialism," and you're like, you think it's going to look like Norway.
Right.
Or Sweden or something like that. And that's not the end result of what socialism looks like. More modern day, Venezuela, Cuba, ruled by evil dictators, and their people are starving, they're dying, and they're fleeing. Like people swim from Cuba or get on little boats, not swim, but get on little boats and come up to Florida.
True.
And try to escape it because it's terrible.
Right.
So people need to be taught history. If you just look at the history of socialism, unless you've got some kind of political bent, but most people, like common folk, they don't necessarily have a political bent. They're just being lied to.
Right.
And so whatever,
and
they don't know the history. And so they're like, we want socialism, free medicine for everybody. By the way, nothing's free. When the government puts it in one pocket, it's because they're taking it out of the other one.
It's a true story.
So anyways, we could get off on that. We have to teach our kids history.
We don't have to, but we should take it as...
You keep correcting me on that. Yes, you're right. We don't have to.
But we should.
But we should.
It is, and we have to take it as our responsibility, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
Our responsibility.
Amen. And it is our responsibility as parents.
Teaching to our children, that is their responsibility to learn the truth, and then showing them how to do that, leading them in that example.
And people want to know things, and that's why they're so quick to, and they want to be right about something. They're so quick to be like, look what I learned on Facebook, and somebody on there saying, like because I was in Israel, I saw things that other people haven't had the opportunity to experience. I witnessed things, I heard testimonies, I saw things with my own two eyes, and I see things that people are putting on as being a higher form of truth or a higher form of reality, when indeed it's not, because I saw different with my own two eyes.
Right.
And so you can't just take a Facebook quote or some TikTok video or something and say this is the truth. You got to dig until you really find it.
That's right.
Yeah. And if especially in the political climate we live in, you're probably going to have to dig to find the real truth, because the real truth is being hidden more and more to try to deceive people. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
To be a voice.
But these are the truth. These are the things that are happening. So.
Know your history and then be a voice.
There you go. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Family by Design. I pray that you were blessed as you listen to the word of the Lord for your life today. I want to encourage you to go on and leave us a review and a 5-star rating. If this ministry is blessing you, go to our website at www.wartmen.org. There you can find more resources, and you can also consider partnering with this ministry. If you like what we're doing, we just pray that you would at least join us in prayer and consider supporting us financially as we take the gospel deep into the hearts of people. Gospel preached, hearts awakened, and nations reformed.